Bro, did you hear about the fucking... We were talking about this before. That shark attack in Egypt.
That was in Egypt? It was that Russian dude, right?
It was a Russian dude in Egypt. When and how did you hear about that?
I saw about it yesterday on some social media. It was either Facebook or Instagram or something. And it was like, yeah, this Russian guy gets attacked by tiger shark right off the shore. And it's just a video of this guy in the water. I think it's his fiance recording the video. She was able to make it out of the water in time.
That's fucking horrifying.
And the video is just him flailing in the water, trying to get to shore. And then eventually his legs go up in the air like he's totally upside down, getting pushed all over the place. Like, it looks like Jaws, dude. Like, it's scary. And yeah, and then on the video, I don't know if you saw at the end, if the boat pulls up like just a couple seconds too late after he goes underwater and he doesn't come back up.
So the tiger shark pulled him down?
Yeah, and then the guy with the boat pulled up just seconds after he went underwater and he didn't show back up, and yeah, he died. I think.
I didn't even know that. I thought I saw it was on the news in like Snapchat.
No,
or some shit.
Nah, right at the end, he got pulled under. He didn't come back above the water, and that's when the boat pulled right up. I don't know what the guy did after that, because I mean, what are you gonna do? Pull it from the shark's mouth, like?
And that has to be one of the worst ways to go.
Oh my God.
What do you think's worse, a shark or a crocodile, bro? This is gonna be.
But that's what depends is what kills you. Does the shark or the alligator bite kill you, or is it the drowning that kills you? Because an alligator,
like, what's the worst way to go?
An alligator would be pretty bad because they'll just grab you and roll. Like, they do that tumble and roll. Like, they'll just grab you right in the middle and just spin you like a fucking top.
Bro.
You can kiss your spine goodbye, bro.
Yeah, the death roll or whatever.
Yeah, the death roll.
See, like a shark, bro. I saw this nasty video today on Reddit because I the way I found out about this was through the Nature is Metal account. I love that fucking.
I love that subreddit. There's so much stuff on there.
Oh, the subreddit. I follow the Instagram account, but it makes sense that he has a subreddit too. I gotta follow that. I didn't know about that, but on Instagram, he posted. He was like, I didn't want to show the actual video because it's very graphic, but you could find it easily. Immediately, I went on Reddit, looked it up, and the shit that came up first before that I saw the actual video of that instance was there was a woman in Brazil come swimming out the fucking ocean. Like, you see her kind of like tumbling or whatever, and like you see her legs, her arm, and her fucking and her head, and you're like, oh, she's fine. Like, what the fuck? She then like picks up her whole other arm from like the elbow down is just gone. Just looks like it's just gone, just red, and then just
the nub,
constant, just oozing like blood. It wasn't spraying, but it was just oozing. I was like, ooh, what the fuck? In Brazil, fuck that.
And Brazil, I mean, what kind of healthcare do they have there? Are you gonna get medicine really quick,
bro?
Or
I'll tell you what, she ain't gonna be in no Star Wars movie with a fucking robotic arm. She's gonna have like a fucking plátano for an arm sticking out like her shit or something.
Oh my gosh, dude,
it's crazy. It's crazy. For sure.
It is. It really is. And I mean, nature really is just an untamed beast that we're really just starting to understand.
Oh yeah, for sure. So much of the stuff that we have to talk about today is like related to that stuff, which is sick. Was that me?
It wasn't me.
I think it's Hannah's phone. Hannah, can you mute your phone? Yeah, so like that's foreshadowing because a lot of the stuff that we have to like talk about today is all like nature related.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, before we get into like the real meat and potatoes of the episode, the first story that I wanted to say, which is like probably honestly like one of the most interesting stories I've ever heard. Again, like I don't know how much you could say about her or whatever, but the fuck, I'll just set it up this way: you were a hero, first of all,
Come on,
legitimately. And he did a very courageous thing. And it was pretty fucking intense. Like, very few people on earth can say they did this. What did you do?
So, where I work, we work right behind our industrial building is a industrial train track. It's not a passenger train, it's a cargo train. So it's like the big cargo containers that you see like on cargo ships, like Amazon, all these big cargo containers that they ship packages in. And this train passes right behind our building, like 10 feet from our building at work. And one day, the train is passing by. And first of all, I have to pass these tracks every day on the way to work. If I hit the train when I'm coming to work, it's like a 10-minute, like the train goes slow. Like if you have to wait for the train, you might as well put the bitch in park and wait, because it's going to take like 5 or 10 minutes to go by.
Is it because it's both long and heavy, or just because
Yeah,
it's
I think
heavy?
it's because it's very long and it's very heavy. And there's times where it'll actually stop on the tracks. Like if there's a problem or something, like it'll just straight up stop. It's very annoying if you have to wait for it. But it's a big, heavy train. And a while ago, it was coming through, and it was a time where we haven't had any rain recently. It was very dry. We really needed some water. And I guess they were scraping the tracks for maintenance, the train track company. And they were scraping the tracks, and it makes a bunch of sparks. And I guess they didn't realize it until after the fact, but they lit forest fires about 30 miles long along the tracks. They were scraping the tracks, and the sparks were just spraying, and there was brush all along the tracks. And it just ignited fires for about a length of 30 miles along the tracks. And the company that I work for, we do a lot of communications, and we just happen to do the fire department communications in the area that we were in. So we were always monitoring it. So we were listening to the radio at the time, and we heard the call come through the radio, like dispatching the fire department to this address. And we were like, that address is right down the street from us. Let's go outside and see if we could see any smoke or anything. That's right down the street.
Mm-hmm.
We go outside. The sky is black. Like it is just, you
Like
can't,
actually black?
it's just black. Like it's not like great. Like, you know, the just past couple of days with all the smoke rolling in from California and Canada. I mean, it was black. Like somebody just put a curtain in the sky.
Holy
And we were like, wow, yeah, the fire is, yeah, it's right there, I think. And a lot of the people that work at our company are either active fire department or ex-fire department or other public safety. And happened to be right next door was a volunteer fire department, which they're volunteer. They're not manned. There's only people there when they need to be. Like if they get a call, that's when they come and take the truck or whatever. So it was empty. And just so happened our company had keys to that fire department because we've been there for a while. We're friends with them, whatever. And a bunch of us from the company are sitting in the fire truck. None of us are firemen of that company. People with us are firemen. Maybe they're active firemen, but of other departments. We're sitting in the fire truck, calling the county over the radio, waiting for approval. Can we take the truck? We could see the flames. Can we take the truck, please? There's mayhem going over the radio since, I mean, there's fires for 30 miles. They're calling people from all over the place to come help out with the situation. So we weren't getting an answer over the radio. And we were just sitting in the truck waiting to take it. And eventually the residents start coming down the street from where the fires are, sobbing and like just hysterical crying, saying like, you're sitting in a fire truck. Please go save my house. Like people are just sobbing, like, please go save my whole life down the street. And that's when we didn't wait any longer for approval. We just said, fuck it, we're taking the fire truck.
Did you mention before, sorry, that someone that was the commanding person had experience with firefighting?
Yes.
Did you mention that, right?
Yes.
So the fact that he, quickly took to action and that you responded, you were right there. So
I happened to be there. I don't have any experience in that.
See, but a lot of people would freeze. I can't say if I would be the type of person that would act.
I mean,
you don't know until you put in
I
those
wouldn't think
situations.
I would be either. But
you did. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah, I mean, when people are in, I feel like anybody would help somebody else out. If you see somebody else's family or life
like
in
that
danger,
distraught, yeah.
You want to help.
So then you took off. You take this fire truck and what?
We took it right. I mean, it was literally right down the street. We probably took it less than a quarter mile. It was literally right down the street. People that knew either the firefighters, the ex-firefighters at our company said, start hooking up the hoses, start running hoses down the street, hooking up, shooting at the fires coming towards the houses. Because, I mean, tree line is probably 20 feet from the houses, and it's coming right up there quick. Everything is dry, and the wind's blowing. I mean, it's just coming fast. And you could, from the street, it's amazing how powerful the heat was. I mean, you see it in movies and stuff all the time, but like your body's just like, no, I shouldn't be here.
The intensity of the heat that you're
Yeah,
seeing.
like,
so that's why when people say like, why don't you just run through like a you know, you ever seen in like the movies, there's tropes like you're trapped in a room, there's an exit and then there's a fire blocking the exit, like I'll just jump through the fire.
This was in the wide open, in the middle of, it wasn't in that building, it was wide open. The heat was unbelievable. And I mean, it was still 20 feet from the houses, but the siding, like the plastic siding, was melting off of the houses. The fences around the houses were melting and folding like a coupon. The heat was unbelievable. And we were just spraying, and we were able to keep it back until the real firefighters showed up, until the actual fire department came.
Did you guys hook it up to like a fire
Hydrant?
Fire hydrant?
Yeah, we were hooking up to the hydrant. We had the fire truck. We were pumping water into the fire truck, and they had the gun on the water gun on the top of the fire truck.
So how was the fire hose? First of all, you ran out wearing what? You weren't wearing any personal protection, any PPE?
No, I was wearing sneakers and jeans. I mean, just like this, sneakers and a t-shirt. And
that is insane.
Yeah, definitely shouldn't have done that.
Bro, that is insane.
But the real fire department didn't show up for another 45 minutes or an hour after that. Just with everything else going on, it took them a while to even get to us with the amount of traffic and everything else. But we were able to just save that entire block. I mean, if we weren't there, that entire place would have just went down.
That's fucking incredible, bro. I don't even like. How heavy was the hose?
It depends, because sometimes if we were pulling it straight off the truck, it was dry. I mean, it's like a 2.5-inch hose. Bless you.
Thank you.
I mean, it's a heavy hose. It's not nothing light. But I mean, when we started moving the hoses that had water in it already, like it was full of water, that shit was heavy. And also, you couldn't be when we turned on the hydrants, you could not be near the hoses when the water was charging, because those shits would whip like you wouldn't believe. And if you were standing in the way of that, you could kiss your ankles or knees goodbye.
So what happens if your like ankle was wrapped in a
Yeah, you're toast.
Hold up.
Because I mean, it's a 2.5-inch hose.
Would it break?
Oh yeah, it would break it like a stick probably.
Are you fucking serious?
Oh yeah, because I mean, it's a 2.5-inch hose.
Like an anaconda going on like a mouse.
It would just be like, boop. Yeah. I mean, when it fills up, the pressure coming out of that hydrant is amazing, and filling up a 2.5-inch hose.
What is it connected to? The city pipeline? Or like
yeah, it's a main water pipe.
How thick is that water pipe? Like feet?
I wouldn't say feet, maybe 6 or 7 inches, which I mean, that's a big pipe. And I mean, pressurized, that's a lot of water.
Really?
It's a lot of water.
I would think it's like something you could walk through.
No.
Wow. Okay. Well, holy shit. That's insane, bro.
Yeah. I mean, it was wild.
That's fucking insane.
I will certainly never forget it. I mean, I'm glad I was able to be of aid, but
you saved people's fucking houses, bro. That's incredible.
We really did.
That's what I'm saying. Like hero shit. But
again, I don't like that, just because I mean, I was in the right place at the right time, and I was willing to do something. I mean,
you did the right thing at the right time, and it's also like you could.
But I mean, again, it wasn't like I was leading the charge or anything. There were other people that were experienced on the scene, took charge, and were guiding people like me that don't have experience with it. And we were all able to come together and really help the community. It really was nice.
Bro, that's fine. If you want to like lean back, because now my back was getting tight too. You know, dude, this guy's a giant. He says he's Italian. This man he's definitely an Italian stallion, but he ain't fucking Italian. I'll tell you that much. This motherfucker is Norwegian or some type of fucking Viking. This man is 6'7".
You're 6'5" though, right?
6'4", bro, 6'4". Dude, like,
you know, I had
6'7".
One time I was at a family gathering a couple weeks ago, and I saw somebody, like a family friend I haven't seen in a long time, and he was like, "How tall are you?" And I was like, 6'7". And he was like, "No, you're not." And I'm like, "What?" He was like, "You're not 6'7". And I'm like, What do you mean?" And he's like, "My son's 6'7". You're not 6'7". And I'm like, all right, bro. I mean, I just had my physical, or I mean, I could pull up my ID if you want, but like,
you're fucking
I don't know
6'7".
Yeah, I don't know what you want me to say.
Why are you fucking saying?
He like got into a debate with me, and I was like,
how tall was he?
Like 5'7".
That's why.
I was like, you can't tell from down there, bro.
I think he was tight. That he was literally a foot shorter than you. That's probably why. I don't know why people get so sensitive. I mean, I can't say that because like I've never had that problem, so I get it.
Damn, you've been this tall your whole life, I guess.
I've always been like a tall. I think it's just because I ate a bunch.
I was short up until the end of high school.
That's crazy.
Like my sister was taller than me up until the end of high school.
That's insane. And then all of a sudden, what would you eat? Radioactive fucking pasta?
No, it's all the hormones in the chicken, bro. They're putting all those hormones.
Well, whatever it is, we eat the same brand because I should not be like I'm Latin and Asian, and like that. Those two, like Chinese people, are not the biggest, and like Colombians, they're not necessarily like the tallest people. So I don't know where the fuck.
Yeah.
It's crazy. No, but like on some, he's like this is funny that I say that he's like Viking, right? Because he's also like the manliest. You're like the manliest man I know personally, right? Like I got a lot of friends who are very capable. All of them are capable actually, but like you just do like manly shit, like you know shit about cars, like a lot of stuff about cars, not a little bit, like a lot of stuff about cars. Andy's like that too, but you like hunt. Like I don't get that. Like,
I mean, I don't know. It was just how I was raised. I mean,
I'm over here like if I see dirt, I'm like like a fucking pussy, bro. I'm a fucking pussy.
no, I mean, like I have one of my cars. I got an old Jeep. I love working on it. I love taking it out in the woods, going off-roading. It's a ton of fun. I mean, you're pushing the limits of an old vehicle, and it's really amazing how capable it really is and how far it can get you. And I love it. I mean, and since it's so old, it's easy to work on. I could do stuff myself. I do enjoy it a lot. And I mean, like you said, you learn a lot from it. I could do most of the work myself, which saves a lot of money. I learn a lot along the way, and yeah, I don't know.
Can I put the off-roading videos?
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's up right now for the people to see because that shit's sick. You actually took me one time with like the doors off of your Jeep.
That's right. Yeah.
And I was like, holy.
That wasn't off-roading though. That was just on the road.
Oh yeah, that was just on the road. But
yeah,
it was just incredible. Like you actually worked on this, like, and you know the inner work. It's just crazy. It's insane.
No, I mean, it's a piece of machinery that gets you moving around, and it's nice being able to understand how it works and being able to fix it if something goes wrong. And I don't know, I just love it.
That's insane, bro. So of all like the animal encounters that you've had while hunting and stuff like that, do you have any like scary animal encounters, or do you like because I would imagine, right, like I've never been hunting. We've always discussed this, and actually funny enough, we're going fishing tomorrow, and I have a story to tell you about that. You asked me earlier about like my first time fishing.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you this first. Like, so anytime you're out there hunting, like I couldn't even imagine like the isolation, all that stuff. You got to have some scary fucking animal encounter.
So when you usually go hunting, usually you're going in the same area or the same woods that you would usually be going in. So you're usually familiar with the land. Mm-hmm. You're familiar with the route. You're familiar with the trail. You know where you're going because you've done it 100, 200 times, whatever. So you don't usually and especially if you go in the morning, you're going really early in the morning. Mm-hmm. It's like 4:30, 5 o'clock latest. Jesus. And it's well before the sun's going up. So, I mean, it's pitch black. And you don't use a flashlight. You don't use nothing to get into the woods. You know where you're going. You could just, you know, when you're like in the dark and you get that, like, you can, after being in the dark for a little while, you can kind of see a little
outlines.
Yeah.
Kinda,
you basically, you rely on that and you can get to your hunting spot through that, basically. No flashlight or anything.
That's insane.
And there was one time we were walking into the woods, middle of the morning. I couldn't remember what time it was. It was very early, dark. You couldn't even, if I put my hand in front of my face, you probably couldn't even see it.
And you were comfortable walking in that shit?
Oh yeah, just because we've done it. We know the route. We've done it a million times. But we were walking down the trail, and I mean, this is before the birds get up in the morning. I mean, you could hear a pin drop. Like, I mean, the leaves roll over the ground. It's very loud as you're walking. It's very it's very peaceful. In the distance, I'm with my uncle probably, or somebody, whoever I'm with hunting. And ways away, like, you can hear something running in the woods. Like, you just hear the leaves getting pushed around and sticks breaking and something just running. And we just stop and we're just listening just to see where it's coming from, what could it be or whatever. And after a few seconds, we can hear that it's coming towards us. And
wait, like it stopped, or you heard it kind of going da 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 da, and then
still,
it just happened.
Whatever it is, it was still running, and it's running right at us. Like, you just hear the leaves getting louder.
So it knows where you are.
No. I don't think it knew where we are. It just happened to be running in our direction. And I mean, it was whatever it was. It was hauling ass. The leaves sticks were breaking. Leaves were kicking up everywhere.
Holy shit!
And eventually, it was running right at us, and we were just standing there because we couldn't see anything, and we didn't know if it saw us or anything. We were just kind of standing there waiting to see what the hell was going to happen. And it was getting closer and closer. And then eventually it got close enough to where it was running and you could hear it breathing, like it was breathing real hard, whatever the fuck it was. And it was running on the trail that we were walking on. And it ran right at us, brushed up against us. Whatever it was like maybe hip height, very hairy, whatever. I mean, everything in the woods is pretty hairy, but it ran right up against us. Whatever it was, it didn't see us, because as soon as it felt us, it screamed and then bolted in the other direction.
What do you mean screamed? Like, ah? Like,
yeah,
what
it made
noise?
I don't know. I couldn't tell what it was from the noise that it made. Like, deer can make very strange noises. I don't know if you ever look videos up online, they can make very weird noises. But it must have been a deer or something like that, the way that the structure of it and the way that it felt.
So it's not like a bear.
No, I don't think it was.
What about like a wolf? No, wolf have like night visions. They're like predators, so.
And usually they're not alone. Usually, yeah.
What about like
couldn't
a
tell what it
coyote?
was. Maybe, but again, I mean, who knows?
Holy shit.
We never saw it. It just hit us, and then.
And where did you go hunting?
In Westchester, we go. There's like an old kennel that we know the people that own the kennel, and we go behind the property there. It's a bit of land, and but in Westchester you can't go gun hunting. It's only bow hunting in Westchester.
Did you have a fucking pistol on you? Like,
No.
were you strapped?
No, you
So
can't
even
have a
if
gun.
this thing was a bear, what the fuck would you guys have done?
Pull the knife out and pray.
Oh my god, that is so scary to me, bro. That is so scary. That is so fucking horrifying to me. I think I would.
It's
freak
very
out.
rare. It's
Why?
very
Why
rare.
did? What the fuck told you to just stay still? Why didn't you move
Just
off? Because
because, like, usually.
were you frozen, or like you just
No,
knew
we
that
were
was
we
the
were
right
just,
thing to do?
We were just observing. Like, usually when you're in the woods, you're not the one being hunted. You're not the one being targeted. So usually you're just sitting there being quiet, observing and seeing what's going on around you. So that's really what we were doing. But actually, speaking on that, there was another time we were hunting. This wasn't in Westchester. This was a little more upstate. We were gun hunting for turkey. So you sit there with a turkey call, and it's usually, there's a bunch of different kinds of turkey call. With your mouth, you blow into it, or you rub two pieces of wood together and it sounds like a turkey. And we were sitting behind this rock at like the top of a ridge, just turkey calling for a while, just seeing if we could call anything in, see anything moving, whatever. It was a nice day.
What time of day? What time? Like dark, like you said before?
No, this was probably maybe early morning, maybe 9 or 10 o'clock.
Oh, so it's daylight.
Yeah, we went out in the morning and we were just sitting there, just seeing what we could get.
Okay.
And we were just sitting there behind the rock, just calling. And out of nowhere, we have our backs against a big rock, like a big boulder. We're just sitting up against it, calling. Out of nowhere, this fucking. Initially, we didn't know what the fuck it was. It came flying over the rock, landed right in front of us where we were calling. It was a bobcat. A bobcat heard our turkey call, thought there was a turkey on the other side of the rock, and pounced over the rock, ready to attack a fucking turkey. And saw us sitting there with a shotgun, and we were just as fucking surprised as it was, and it just fucking took off.
How far upstate was this?
Maybe like an hour and a half.
So there's bobcats in New York. I'm so stupid.
Yeah.
How big was that fucking thing?
I mean, probably standing. Its back is probably like this tall or something.
Were you scared?
Yeah, I mean, seeing the claws on that thing, like the claws are serious.
There were two of you, right?
Yeah.
Who do you think would have won that fight?
That thing probably would have torn us to shreds.
Are
dude.
you serious?
Oh yeah.
The two of you with shotguns.
I mean, it was so close to us. I don't know if we wouldn't be able to pick up and shoot it in time. It was like right. It was literally. I mean, we could have pet it. I mean,
Are you serious?
yeah, because I mean,
you've told me this story before now actually, but I thought you said it landed like 4 feet.
No,
or
we
something.
were calling it, and it jumped right to where our call was because it was ready to attack a fucking turkey.
So you're telling me it landed like right here?
Yeah. And then it just like looked around. And
Did you get that fucking cold like right after you get scared? You're like,
oh yeah, like
everything freezes.
Your heart
and then
drops.
After it's like,
and yeah, I was
you're
like,
like painfully.
I mean, when it looked at us, there was a second of like it looking at us and like, is that it? Like, what is this thing gonna do?
Are you serious?
Well, I mean, like, cause like you don't know what the fuck it's gonna do. Like,
so what? So what? It turned around first and it bolted.
I mean, it looked around it, and then it looked around, saw us. I mean, we obviously were in a turkey, so I mean, it wasn't what it was expecting. So then it just bolted, probably because it was just scared. It didn't know what the fuck we were. Cause
How fast did that thing take off?
in a blink, it was gone. I mean, I think it went up a tree or something, and I mean, it was gone. You couldn't even see it. That's crazy how fast they were, man.
And we got two of these little fucking mini ones running around here, bro.
He's just chilling.
God, when you hear that type of stuff, and like it's one thing, like, you know, like I've heard stories online of like crazy animal encounters, but when you actually like, you know, like I know you don't like bullshit and stuff like that. You're not like me. You don't dramatize things.
But like that's how like dogs and animals were domesticated. Like especially dogs. Like there's researchers like out in Alaska or up north where a lot of these big rivers are, where like a lot of these salmon or a lot of these different fish spawn. There's a lot of researchers that up there that do genetic testing and like take a bunch of data for the government to just see how the fish population is doing and whatever. And there was this researcher. They live up there for months at a time to just make sure they're in the woods. They can get the data anytime they needed to, and eventually, like a wolf pack moved into their research camp. Like they had their research camp set up, and a pack of wolves infiltrated. Like they were fishing in the stream one time and trying to catch some fish, try to get some data. And they just felt like it was being watched. And he turned around.
Who is this? One guy?
Yeah,
or a group of researchers?
It's usually like 2 or 3 of them, but usually they go off by themselves just to like, they'd usually have their own tasks.
And you're saying where? Alaska, you said?
Yeah, somewhere in Alaska or Canada or way up north. And
like British Columbia?
And he was just fishing, like just fly fishing, trying to catch salmon or whatever the fuck he's trying to catch. And just felt like he was being watched. Like, you know, if you have that weird feeling.
Yeah. Like the hairs on the back of your neck stand up.
And he turned around, and like 10 feet behind him was a full-grown female wolf or coyote just staring at him. Like, just locked eyes with him.
And it's like looking at you like, am I going to fucking end you today?
Yeah.
Like
but the researcher was like, hey, how you doing? And just went back along with his business. Like, you can't show that you're scared. Like, if you show fear or you show that you're submissive, you're done.
Are you serious?
You have to acknowledge their presence and just act like everything's fine. Because then they'll be like, okay, this guy's cool. He's not a threat to me. I can just do what I want to do. And then he came up to the researcher and like started sniffing him, like doing the nose extension type of thing.
Wait, so you're saying that it's not like it's gonna? You're saying it's like it's kind of like you see how dogs became a thing, like domesticated.
Yeah. Well, because then the research, then they acknowledged each other, and then they went off and did whatever. And then like a couple days later, he would go out into another part of the woods, and then 3 or 4 wolves would be following him. Like he would be part of the pack, and they would protect him. And
no fucking way.
Yeah,
and then protect him, or would they just turn on him?
At first they would just follow him and kind of like just keep tabs on him, see what he's doing. Like he was probably treading in their territory, and they're like, "Hey, what is this? Like, who is this, and what is he doing in our land?"
Jesus fucking Christ!
And then eventually, like they're catching fish, taking data. I mean, when they catch fish, they probably skin them and take some meat for genetics or whatever, and then they throw the carcasses to the wolves, and then the wolves are eating them, and then they come back, and now they're happy. They're like, "Oh, they're giving us food. Let's go hang out with them." And then now, before you know it, they're sleeping at the camp. They're staying in the camp.
That's how I heard, like, wolves originally, like, cavemen or whatever.
That's how it happened, yeah.
And, like, they would come into the camps.
That's how it happened.
And isn't that crazy that it goes from there to, like, border collies that, like, you literally tell them they're, like, robots. And they do whatever the fuck you tell them to.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing. The relationship, that can be built with just the give and take.
The exchange between beast and man.
Yeah.
That's
and like when
incredible.
I've been hunting a couple times, we'll see coyotes as we're hunting, and usually we do try to shoot them whenever we get the chance.
Really?
Yeah, because I mean, they take out deer, they take out everything. We just usually don't want them there, so we'll try to shoot them if we can.
Do you eat the meat?
No, we just shoot them and leave them.
You can't take them?
I mean, sometimes we'll take them and stuff them, like just to if you want a trophy of one, but. I mean, you could eat them, but I mean, they're not great eating. They're not great. You just want to get rid of them.
They don't taste good?
They're gamey. They're very muscly. They're not fatty. They're very lean. So, I mean, it's a very gamey, like.
See, something about,
tough.
like, isn't it weird, like, carnivore, you just, like, you crave meat, right? Or humans are omnivore. But I love meat. You love meat, too. Like, you like, pause. Rewind play. Not, like, you like, meat products. Like, I love a good steak and all that shit. But isn't it weird how, like, prey, the stuff that likes that too, it's like, You would think that eating that will feel like, oh, like that's even better because it's eating all the other fucking things and it's not
Yeah.
as good.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. Like I mean,
I guess that's why they're prey. I don't fucking know.
yeah. I mean, who knows? I mean, they actually don't eat very many large animals. They eat a lot of small animals. Like they'll catch, like coyotes especially, they'll catch like fish. Very rarely they'll take down a deer or like a moose or something big like that. They will have sometimes, but usually they prey on smaller animals like foxes or rabbits or stuff like that. But yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Those are two insane stories, bro. Like the fact that a bobcat, like that thing is that's scary.
There's another story that's not really scary, but it's just kind of interesting. One time we were hunting one of the first times I was hunting in a ground blind, which usually, like when I go bow hunting, usually you're in a tree stand where you climb up in a tree, you're standing on a platform with your bow. Mm-hmm. But this time I was in a ground blind, which is basically just a tent, just a camouflage tent, basically, and you're sitting in it on the ground, and there's just openings for you to shoot through. And I was right in the middle of this big field in this tent, and it was early in the morning again. And right across the field, we were able to spot, I forgot what kind of owl it was. It was a beautiful owl. I mean, it was brown. It was like 2 feet tall, beautiful owl. And I mean, we were just looking at it. It was a quiet morning. We were just watching it with the binoculars from across the field. And then eventually it started like turning its head at us. Like it saw our tent, obviously, and it was just like, what is that?
Dude, owls are that intelligent.
And then it flew closer to us and just was like, that's not a tree. What is that?
Oh, like they're that intelligent.
But and then it flew up. Like our tent was like under a tree. It flew right next to our window, like looking like it was. I could have touched it. We started scrambling to shut the windows because if that thing came in, bro, I don't know what we would have like. We saw the talons.
Insane, yeah.
It was like grabbing the branch, and it was like Captain Hook. Like it was like if that thing grabbed you, bro, it's over.
Yeah, they shred. We were like,
oh you. Shit, let's shut the window. Like that thing was like.
And those things have so much more grip strength than people realize. Like it could literally just rip me. It does. It rips me off of the animals.
That's what they're made to do. But also, but like when
but
when you're hunting in the woods, and especially when you're in the woods for a long day. And you're just sitting quiet for hours, nature really forgets that you're there sometimes, and you get to see some really cool stuff. Like sometimes I'll see an owl swoop down and pick up a squirrel or pick up a chipmunk, and like when else are you gonna see that? You never see that when you're walking down the street.
So when do you have your phone at you, and then are you listening to music or
no? Usually you want to be hearing everything because you can hear leaves crunching from a while away. You want to be aware of everything usually. You don't want to be listening.
How slow and methodically do you have to move when you go to set your camp point?
So if you're going into a tree stand, usually you don't have to be that slow. You just walk right in. You want to get set up quick before the sun rises, just so that when stuff starts moving, you're ready. But it's different if you're trying to stalk something. Like if you're trying to stalk a deer or stalk a turkey or stalk whatever. Like say I was going to move from here to your front door, like maybe 20, 15 feet. To move about 15 or 20 feet in the woods, if you're actively trying to stalk something, would probably take about a half hour.
Get the fuck
like
out
you got to move so slow. Like if the leaves are crunchy, you got to know how to move. You got to be very.
Do you know how to move? How do you move?
I have never done that. I would like to, but
that sounds that sounds like
tough.
Real, like that's some like real shit.
Yeah, like you're stalking.
That's
stuff.
like back in the day, like survival of the fittest. Like
that's some different level of stuff.
That shit's amazing to me.
Like you got to be like a mouse.
And that's like modern day. You ever heard like the thing about man in the early days was like we're like the best. We're exhaustion hunters. Like they just chase down like human beings back in the day were just chase down their prey, and they were faster. So they just go. Do you know about what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Like we were chasing up. Like we could outrun horses and stuff. Like
yeah. For like in terms of endurance.
Yeah.
The craziest thing is somebody did a crazy comparison and said that like mankind is, if you think about it, like the scariest predator. Imagine you're super fast, you could escape from anything that is trying to get you. You go, you see something, you get spooked out, you run, you get the fuck out of Dodge quick as shit. Like you're lightning fast. You go and you think you're safe, you've been running, busting your ass. You lay down to catch a breather, like you're a little tired, and you look over the horizon, and it's like those fuckers again, same people. So you take off again. You lay down a little longer, a little more out of need, and you look over the horizon, and there, sure as shit, there they are. And little after little, you just give up. It's like a breaking of will. Isn't that crazy?
It's nuts. And like these people that do these like ultra marathons that run hundreds of miles at a time, How does your body withstand that?
I don't know. I think I'd die. I don't think I'm capable of that
like,
at all. I really don't.
I mean, in gym class, we'd have to run a mile or whatever the
And
fuck
I was dying.
And yeah, I'd be like,
yeah,
like,
I was not well. I was not well, bro. My ass was
100
fat.
miles, bro.
Dog, my ass was fat and asthmatic. I never told you this. You know, one time me and Andy ordered a pie. This was in peak gluttony. We ordered a fucking pie of pizza, okay? And it was we're talking like a big ass pie, like fucking huge, 8 slices. And we're like, I don't want another pie, but like, let's get like herbal slices. You know what an herbal slice is?
What the fuck is an herbal
It's basically an entire pizza pie dough with just herbs, chunks of garlic, and it's not like cheesy and saucy. So it's like a big ass garlic bread herb type thing.
Okay.
And it's a little thinner than a normal pizza, but it's still like dense. And we grabbed one of the herb slices. I just told this story on like the last episode. One of the herb slices and one of the normal pizza slices and folded it so it was like we had garlic bread pizza. And we ate basically the equivalent of a whole pie. Half, because we had 4 slices each of both tucked under.
Oh my God.
Peak gluttony, bro. It was crazy. This was at like 15. It was
Dude,
nuts.
I remember like back in high school and shit, dude, the amount of food that I could put away, dog.
Stupid, bro.
Like when I used to work at a camp. Like I would teach archery at a camp, and the people that worked at this camp, like the sports. This is a very expensive camp to go to. By the way, I forgot how many thousands of dollars per week it was to go to this camp. Yeah, for your kid to go to this camp. They had everything from archery, water slides, arts and crafts, basketball, sports, zip lines, whatever you wanted. Animals, they had camels. They have everything.
Camels? What the fuck? Where was this? Dubai, bitch? Like, what's happening here?
But every day at lunch, their basketball program was no joke. They would have D1 players as the coaches for the kids.
Current D1 players?
Yeah, current D1 players. And at lunchtime, that's when the employees would play ball. And that's when I would play ball with everybody, dude. That was freaking crazy, man.
With D1 players?
Oh, yeah. They were insane at basketball. But, like, at lunchtime, they would feed you at lunch. I would eat 5 hamburgers and 5 hot dogs every day after playing basketball.
And did you feel like you could eat more?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, after playing, like, 2 hours of basketball really hard, I put it down, bro.
That's insane.
It was
bro.
bad. I definitely couldn't do that now. It took years off my life, probably.
We should probably test it one day. We should probably test it one day on a little fucking binge eating marathon or something.
And
with gluttony.
With this camp, there's another funny story with this camp. Like I said, I taught archery, but there was another section of the camp where they had zip lining. And at lunchtime, I was like, oh, you could walk around, do whatever you want. I was like, oh, let me go try out the zip line. And you know when you're like in Home Depot or one of the like Lowe's or one of the big stores like that, and they have those big metal staircases that they use to get to like the top shelf,
like the thing that looks like the librarian ladder.
Yeah, you roll it around,
and it has like the cheese grater grates.
Yeah, and it's the big metal staircase.
Yeah.
They had that like under the zip line. That's how you would step off the zip line to get off. They had like that under the zip line,
mm-hmm.
And this was a little kid camp, so I guess when the little kids would go on the zip line, they would be able to go over the staircase. I was not able to go over the staircase. After I stepped off the platform to jump on the zip line, I heard the attendant behind me go, "Oh shit." And I was just hurtling down the zip line. I don't know how fast I was going. It felt like I was going really fast. And the metal staircase was right under the zip line. And I guess the kids were short enough to pass over it without hitting it. I tried to pull my legs up or something to get out of the way. I slammed right into the side of the metal staircase. I had a bruise going down the side of my leg from the railing for weeks.
Do you have a picture?
No, I wish I do. It was like...
Did it hurt on impact, or was it just so traumatic?
I thought I broke my leg. Like, I mean, I slammed into it. The guy felt so bad. I felt bad for him, but I mean, he fucked up. He should have.
Well, first of all, wait. Did the cable? Was it because you were heavy or tall?
Probably both.
That's insane.
Because I mean, usually kids go on it and they're shorter and lighter, and they can probably go over it. But I mean,
that is crazy. So that's like, bro, you've been injured so much. All right, actually, this is on the list too. Now that you bring this up, what is like the worst injuries you've sustained? That has to be one of them. Like, what about on and off the like outside of like civil, like hunting?
Hunting, thank God I've never had any injuries hunting.
Thank God. Okay, good.
Like usually, especially when you're in the tree stand, you have a harness where you hook yourself up to a harness and you tie yourself to the tree. Where God forbid if you fall off, you'll just be hanging from the tree. You can get down. You won't get hurt or anything. But my worst injury, probably dislocating my knee. And the first time I did that was in the ocean on the Jersey Shore.
The first time.
The first time.
So one of many times he's dislocated.
Well,
his
once you do
knee.
it, once, it's easy to happen again, right? So basically, what happens is your kneecap is held in place, and there's a bunch of tendons like your meniscus and your ACL that hold your knee in place.
Mm-hmm.
And once it's moved and all those tendons get stretched out, it's very easy. They don't.
But it didn't tear. It just stretched.
Thank God it didn't tear. But once they stretch out, they don't. It's not elastic, so it comes back in. They're just kind of like they're more loose, so it's easier for it to happen again, which sucks. But basically, what happened was, every year my family would go on vacation to the Jersey Shore, and we got there. We just showed up. I was like, I want to go to the beach. It's a nice day. I want to go in the water. We literally just showed up, and we get on the beach. And you know how they have the green flags where you're supposed to be within the green flags for the lifeguard to see you and stuff. They had red flags up. So red, and they were very close together. Basically, the red flags just mean, hey, the water is rough. Be careful. Like, they're just closer together, so the lifeguards have a more narrow field of view to watch, and it's just be careful. The water's rough. And there was like nobody in the water, which I was like, perfect. I just want to go in and I just want to enjoy the water right now.
Mm-hmm.
I run in the water. And I mean, the waves are big. They're probably 3 or 4 foot waves. And there's a big a sand wall, actually, where the waves were crashing. The waves were so strong that they actually, like, dug a wall that people were sitting on. Like, it was like a sand shelf where the waves were breaking that people were actually sitting on. That's how strong the waves were. I got in the water. I was swimming, having a good time. My dad was with me. A couple other people in the water. There was a little kid in the water. And the little kid was, like, riding a wave in his boogie board or whatever. Uh-huh. Big wave came. The kid, like, I was walking out of the water, like, kind of adjacent to the waves. Mm-hmm. And this kid was riding a wave on his boogie board, and he just smashed right into me. Like, he just crashed into me. And I was like, I fell down. I was like, I mean, there's nothing of it. Like, I just felt like he just ran into me. I didn't think anything of it. And I fell in the water. I went to get back up, but I couldn't get up. Like, my legs were bent. Like, you know, when you fall down, your legs are, like, I mean, you wouldn't fall down straight. Like, that'd be weird. But, like, you fall down, your legs are bent a little bit. I went to go stand back up, and I couldn't get up. Like, it was my left leg. I could move my right leg, but I was trying to straighten my left leg, and I couldn't move it. And I was like, what the fuck? And it was like maybe just a couple of feet of water, maybe 2 or 3 feet of water. And I couldn't move my leg. And I started freaking out. Like, I just started freaking out. Like, I couldn't move it. And I was flailing in the water. I couldn't get up. The waves were coming over my head, and I was trying to breathe. And the lifeguards didn't even see me. Like, I was probably doing that for like a minute, and then my dad saw me eventually. And my dad actually grabbed me by the shoulders and pulled me out of the water.
Holy shit.
And I looked down, and my knee is like on the other side of my leg. And I'm like, that doesn't look right. And I kept trying to move it, and I couldn't move it. I probably shouldn't have been trying to do that. I was probably just in shock. And, they pulled me out of the water. The lifeguards came and were like, yeah, let's call you an ambulance. And, basically my kneecap got dislocated onto the side of my leg.
How long was it dislocated for?
So I got pulled out of the water. The lifeguards finally came to me after that. My dad pulled me out of the water, and they called an ambulance over the radio for me. And they pulled me out with their ATVs, and they sat me on a park bench right by the street. They just said, sit here, wait for the ambulance. Ambulance didn't show up for like another hour and a half. I was sitting there on the park bench with my leg fucked, and I was just like, and they didn't show up for an hour and a half.
Are you serious? Why?
Yeah, I don't know. It was amazing. I don't understand how it took so long. And by then I was out of shock. Like, I was feeling all the pain by the time they showed up.
How bad was the pain?
It was unbelievable. Because, I mean, when your knee comes out of its socket, your bones are grinding against each other. Like, my femur was grinding against my kneecap. My calf was grinding against my kneecap. Like, my bones were grinding together. And my knee was still out of place at this point. And they picked me up, put me in the ambulance. And, I mean, that ambulance ride had to be the worst ambulance. I mean, I've never ridden in an ambulance before that. But like I said, my bones grinding together. Every little bump, every little turn, every braking, every acceleration, I could feel it all.
They didn't give you nothing for
they
the
didn't give
pain,
me, No, they didn't
bro?
give me anything then. No, they didn't give me nothing.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
So you're just back there having a cheese grater go off at your fucking kneecap from behind?
The best part was,
oh,
I get to the hospital. I'm like, what do we do from here? What happens from here? Like, how do we fix this?
How old were you again?
This was just I graduated high school, so
Damn, you're like 18.
Yeah, and I was just about to try out for the basketball team at high school, so that got canned after that. So I was like, well, what do we do now? Like, you just fix it. And I was like, can you, like, what do you do? And they're like, okay. A bunch of doctors came in the room. Like, probably, I don't know if they were all doctors, probably nurses, but like 6 people came in the room. And my parents were there with me, of course. And they just looked at my parents and said, you might want to leave. And my parents walked out of the room, and I was like, what's about to happen? And they said, okay, we're going to put your knee back in place now. And I was like, okay, so how does this happen? I said, are you giving me anesthesia or something? He's like, no, we're not giving you anything. This is going to take just a few seconds. So we're not going to give you anything. But the process is, with your knee out of place, they push your leg to your chest and pull your knee straight, and keep doing that until your knee snaps back into place.
Are you fucking serious? Why can't they just go like this, pop it that way?
Well, they tried to do that, but what happened was my quad, from it happening, like the teardrop part of your quad, like the VMO part of your muscle, is really what controls your kneecap.
Okay.
So when my kneecap was out of place, that muscle got so tight, like it knew something was wrong. It just got so tight, and they couldn't let go. So they were trying to push against it, but my muscle was so spasmed and so tight that it wouldn't let it go back in.
Jesus fucking Christ.
So I can't describe the pain that this was. Like, they told my parents to leave the room. They said they heard me screaming from like across the hospital.
How long did it take?
It felt like forever, but it probably took like 4 or 5 yanks. Like, they pushed my knee to my chest.
How many people? 6?
There were like 3 people holding my chest down.
Were you trying to fight them?
Oh, of course. Yeah, it's just natural to, because of how much pain it was. But they were like 3 people holding me down to the bed, and then 3 other people like pulling my leg and stuff.
Like, how big were the people holding you down? Because you're Goliath, bro. like how many these definitely fucking bodybuilder nurses that came in. Your big ass is on that fucking gurney and shit. They're eating your fucking leg. They're yoinking your leg
I can't even
back
describe the pain.
Are you serious?
Can't even describe.
You never told me this is.
I mean, everything is grinding together. Like, I mean, everything is moving and everything is grinding.
What would you say out of 10?
Oh my god.
Like 10? Like an actual 10?
Yeah. I mean,
so this was as bad as being tortured, basically.
It was bad, man. And
okay, but for $1 million, you go through that again?
No.
Are you serious?
No, definitely not.
Are you fucking serious?
Definitely not.
2 million.
No.
5 million.
No.
10 million.
Maybe.
That's
but like, it was bad. But the thing is, like, once it, like they said, once they're doing it, once it really just does snap back in. Once it snapped back, yeah, it was immediate relief. Like, it felt so much better. But I mean, after that, my knee swelled up like a balloon. Like, it was like so swollen. I had to keep it straight. Like, I had to keep it in a brace straight, my leg straight for 3 months.
Oh my god!
Can you imagine that, like, at our height, keeping your legs straight and trying to get into a car?
Oh my god, oh my.
And but like, I couldn't move my leg. My leg had to be straight for 3 months. The muscle dysphoria, like, I lost so much muscle.
Atrophied, it shrunk down.
I lost so much muscle. It was bad. And then I did it again. I dislocated it again in rugby.
Same knee.
The same knee, illegal tackle. Dislocated again, same thing. Had to go to the hospital. They yanked it back into place. Same thing. But
so you had.
Which
one was more painful?
First one was definitely more painful. The second time around, it already happened again, so I already
looser.
It was a little looser.
No, that first time.
No, but like, again, God forbid that ever happens again.
Like, you literally were like this, like trying to fight these people. They had you like this, like crossed out like this.
And the second time I was like, "Can you please knock me out or something? Like, I know what's coming. Can you please put me out or something?" They're like, "No, sorry. You probably ate breakfast in the morning. We can't give you any anesthesia."
What happens with the food? Why can't you eat and fucking take anesthesia?
It's just with the anesthesia. Like, if you get
that is so crazy to me. The medicine has so many weird. Isn't that weird? You can fucking. The only difference is food. What is it, like a chemical reaction between you may have eaten something that would like interact with the anesthesia that would kill you?
Who knows?
Or that is insane how sensitive
that's the whole reason.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
That's the whole reason.
Literally, that first, bro, that is so if it was a torture device, would you have said whatever?
Yeah, definitely.
Unless it's like you.
Definitely,
wow. See, now I feel like a pussy.
But like,
the worst pain I've ever been through was just when I ate the Pocky One Chip Challenge for this podcast.
Come on,
no,
bro.
on God.
Come on.
No, you don't understand. Mike vomited blood. It's the hottest fucking. Remember before we were talking about what's the hottest thing you ever ate, bro? That chip, it was so bad. Mike describes his story way better. He's not gonna be. He basically said that it was such intense. And I told him first because I was the first one who started feeling it. And I was in the bathroom and I'm like just sitting there on the toilet and I'm just, oh my God, it's so bad. At one point, you know how bad it was? I'd stripped all my clothes off. I was butt ass naked on this fucking toilet.
That's how you know.
Spread like this. My feet, my legs are like spread apart. I'm low and I'm bent over on myself, hugging my knees or like my legs. And I'm just like, I'm like sweating, dripping sweat. And I told him it was the worst stomach cramps that if it was continued for 2 minutes. I said if it was longer than that, if it hit like 5-10 minutes, I would have told my mom to call an ambulance. Like it was that bad.
That's just no joke. I mean,
bro, no. Mike said he was white knuckling. The sink is in front of his toilet, right? Like he bent all the way over, grabbed the edges of the sink, and he was squeezing it so hard that his fingers started to go numb, and he was white knuckling from the pain. It was crazy. Isn't that nuts?
That's insane.
And that is pussy shit compared to you getting your fucking bones grinded together.
The second time it happened, I did partially tear one of my tendons. I did partially tear my meniscus.
Bro, your body's been through hell.
But thankfully, it wasn't enough to get surgery. But the doctors did say, God forbid, if I ever do dislocate my knee ever again, I will need surgery for them to like re-tighten the tendons and ligaments and everything. So I hope it never happens again. I haven't had a problem with it. I've been working out. Everything's good. So hopefully it never happens again.
God damn, bro. Yeah. That's insane. That's crazy.
It was not a good time.
So those are your worst injuries. That's fucking wild.
Yeah, I think.
I had to get it's not really an injury I remember, but I was playing soccer when I was like a little kid. I don't really remember anything before I was 9, weirdly enough. I don't know if that's a good thing. I have very spotty things, but it was like very young. I think I was like 4 and I was playing some bullshit soccer. Or I was playing at school or pre-K. I don't know, some shit. I got kicked in the nuts.
Ooh.
And I couldn't piss. My mom said like I was potty trained, obviously. And I went to the bathroom, and then I came back and I told my mom, I was like, I can't piss.
Would you like crush your urethra or something?
No, like, you know what testicular torsion is?
No.
So basically, like, you know what it is, right? So basically, your nuts are in your nutsack and they're hanging like this, right?
Yeah.
On like a string. Yeah. If one of them, for whatever reason, gets hit up and it twists and then comes back down, it's like creating a knot in your vein. So your vein, there's the blood flow. Your testicle dies because it doesn't have blood flow and it starts like swelling. That happened to you? It happened on one of my nuts. And I got rushed to the ER and they were like, dude, the doctors told my mom, like, we're going to have to take him into surgery. They knocked me out. They cut my shit open. They pulled it out, bro. They said it was purple on its last legs, looking like an eggplant. Bro, it was an eggplant in my fucking sack. They pull this thing out, they look at it, and they're like, they literally told my mom, like, if you had waited an hour more, like, to get here, your son would have had one nut. He would have been a one nut wonder. I don't remember. That's the crazy thing. Like, I don't remember.
That's like one of the most painful experiences.
I think like when you're an adult, but you're so young at that point. Like I don't remember shit. Yeah, you know, like I don't remember any of that. It was like I briefly do remember like being in the hospital, and I had like the kid. I was actually in the hospital a good amount of times when I was a kid, like for asthma and shit. But I had like this fucking kid gown on and shit. Like with the little dinosaurs and stuff. Yeah. And like mad family members came to visit me because they thought I was gonna fucking die or something. I was like, yo. I almost had one testicle, bro. That's nice. It was crazy. Yo. Bro, so we were talking about hunting, and I want to get your thoughts on this because this is some crazy shit. The Appalachia, one of the feats. Wait, I meant to tell you this fucking story, and I forgot. Sorry. Let me sidetrack real quick. Sure. So we're going fishing tomorrow, which I'm very excited for. And you asked me about my first time fishing.
Yes.
So this is the story of my first time fishing. Ever. I've been fishing a couple times, crabbing like twice. Fishing like even less, maybe like once or twice ever in my life. And the first time I don't really consider it fishing because it was an attempt, but I never actually cast the hook out into the water. And the reason why was this was in Colombia at this place, this lake that my family frequented when I used to go there a lot as a kid. It was called Lago Calima.
Okay.
So it's a big freshwater lake. Scary rumors about like it being an old, which I think this is actually a true story. It was actually an old town that they broke the dam to because the town was just like not making enough money, whatever. An old mining town or some shit, and the dam flooded the lake, but like some people didn't get out, and there's like like skeletons, but in reality it's just houses down there. There's an actual like bottom of this thing, whatever.
That's cool.
So it's a big freshwater lake, and there's fish in it now because it's been ages since that thing got filled. And my cousin goes like, yo, let's go out fishing. So he gets me a hook and rod. And you have to keep in mind, this is Colombia, so it doesn't have like a spool. It's literally a stick with a fucking just the length of the whole thing, right? And the hook. and you dig around, you get a worm, whatever, you put it on. And now I've been fishing one time afterwards where it was like on the sand, on the turf not turf, but what is that called? Like right where the wave hits the water. Is it turf?
I don't
So
know.
like the beachfront, yeah, just like the beachfront, but like right on the water, you cast your fucking reel, right?
Yeah.
And there's no spool to let go of. Like you unlock the spool, you hold it with your finger. When you go back, as you come forward, you let that bitch go, right?
Yep.
I'm explaining for them. Obviously, you know how to fish better than me, obviously, but this fucking thing didn't have that. So I'm a dumb kid. So my cousin just said, go like this and whip that bitch forward. So I pull this back and I fucking whip it and I was a bigger kid. I was a chunky kid. I was like 12 or something at the time, or maybe 8. I was at least I was over 100 pounds easy. And I fucking, with everything, go, ugh! And it gets stuck. Like I feel the rod bent backwards. I'm like, what the? I'm like, what? So I go and I just pull nothing. It's stuck on something. I'm like, what the fuck? All of a sudden, after like the second pull, I start hearing screaming. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Screaming.
I turn and I see my aunt running with my grandma to my cousin. She's an older. Her name's Diana Sofia. She was fucking back there behind me when I cast this thing.
No,
and I hooked her scalp.
Oh,
and I was
scalp.
And I was pulling this thing through her fucking scalp, bro.
Oh my god.
Or her arm. Was it her scalp or her arm?
That's the
I feel
worst.
Like it was
fear,
either like,
dude. That's the worst.
It was just
fear.
bad. It was just really bad. I felt so bad. So
She
that's my
alright?
only time. Yeah, she ended up being okay. She didn't need stitches or anything. But it was just a gnarly cut. It was bleeding a lot because it was like a through and through. It was so bad. It was so bad. But we're gonna go fishing tomorrow. Hopefully nothing like that happens.
Very excited.
I'm very excited too.
Very excited.
But yeah. So the last thing one of the last couple things I wanted to cover here. Have you been hunting like in like very far west Pennsylvania, in like Appalachia?
No, but I want to. I hear it's amazing out there. But there is a lot of some of the stories you hear out there are kind of
Scary as fuck.
crazy.
Like, what's a story you know of?
Like, I mean, that's where they say like the witch trials were, or like some, not the
Salem?
No, yeah, not the Salem witch trials, but like maybe it was the Salem witch trials, but one of the big witch trials were in those woods. But like, just like, that's a state park, right?
I don't know if it's a state park, but it's just it's like native territory. I heard a lot of like
There's a lot of scary, weird,
like don't go out at night.
unexplainable things that happen in state
like
parks.
Wendigos live in those areas.
Yeah,
and shit.
like there's
like forest monsters dwell with. I'm getting chills right now. It's insane.
There's a lot of weird, unexplainable stuff that happens in these woods, and nobody can explain it. Like,
oh my God, it's so
there was one story that I remember hearing that like these people were walking in the woods with their children, and they were going by this waterfall, and they were just hanging around by the waterfall, and then before you know it, like her granddaughter just disappeared behind a tree. Like, oh, she's just probably getting a rock or something to throw in the water or whatever, and then she's just gone. They just can't find her. They're like looking all over the place, can't find her. They call the police. They get dogs sniffing all over the place. They find a trail. They track her scent along the trail, and then the dogs stop at a very specific spot, saying, "This is where the end of the track is. This is where the scent trail stops." And it's just in the middle of the trail, like where would you have gone? It's just, you wouldn't just stop in the middle of the trail. Like it would be like you pick up and taken somewhere else. And then search was going on for weeks and weeks and weeks after that. No trace of her whatsoever. And then out of nowhere, on the top of a hillside, miles and miles and miles away, they find her crawling out of the top of a cave on a mountain, completely undisturbed, hydrated, and well, being like, "Oh, I'm right here. Hello."
How long?
Weeks. She was in the woods. As a small child surviving in the woods by themselves for weeks, just being able to stay hydrated, being okay, and then all of a sudden they're found miles and miles away.
Is she okay now?
Yeah, she's fine.
Does she have any recollection of what the fuck happened?
Yes, and she said that's the creepy part. She said
that's the creepy.
When she got found, she was like, "Yeah, I don't know what happened. I was following this little, I don't know what she said she was following. She couldn't really remember. She got taken off the path following something, and then she couldn't find her grandparents, and she was getting scared, and then she was like, oh, and then my friend Alana appeared, and then the grandparents were like, who's Alana? And she was like, oh, she was my friend. She was guiding me through the rocks and guided me up the mountain into this cave where the water was. And they were like, who's this? Who's like, they were like, oh, she's just a kid. She's probably, this is her coping mechanism of what she just went through. Like, who could this be? And then they come to find out that many years later, that 100 years ago, another little girl went missing there named Alana and died in the waterfall. And she said that some little girl named Alana helped her to get to the top of a mountain and saved her.
I'm tearing up right now under these sunglasses. I'm so creeped out.
Like, how do you explain that?
I'm about to fucking cry, bro.
Like, how do you explain
that is so, I just got such an overwhelming emotion of just like fear. Bro, that's insane.
How do you explain? But also,
so it's kind of like a guardian angel almost in a bit.
Yeah, like somebody else is going the same thing that I went through.
But like, why did she like go off the trail to begin with? There's a lot of creepy, like there's like the TikTok rabbit hole that I went down the other day was like some shit about rules in Appalachia. And it's like a native guy. Like he's like some indigenous type of Native American. And he fucking said like, you know, like when you see some shit out at night on the cameras and it's just like, I just mind my business. Like you just like, there's literally, I started Googling shit and Wikipedia lists were coming. It's like rules of Appalachia. You think you hear your name getting called while you're walking in the woods alone? You didn't.
Mm-mm.
You think you saw something at night? No, you didn't.
Keep going.
You hear something call you from behind you? You think you hear your name? Don't turn around. Just keep going. Act natural. Don't whistle in the woods. If you go into never leave the house at night. Keep your windows closed. If you leave at night, bring a buddy if you have to. Walk with a buddy at all times. Like, I'm getting chills right now, bro. Like, that shit's scary. Do you believe in, like, skinwalkers and all that shit?
I don't know what a skinwalker is. I definitely believe in extraterrestrial life.
Okay, you want me to tell you about a skinwalker?
Sure.
Bro. A skinwalker, it's, so you know, like, I did a little bit of research on this. Appalachia is the region, you know, with the Appalachian Mountains and everything, but like it's such a melting pot of different cultures because so many different settlers. You have like the Polish, the Irish later on in North America's history, but originally like Native Americans settled the land, you know, historically. And because of all the mix of all those, you know, cultures, a lot of cultures have different interpretations, but a lot of things remain the same. And a lot of people think that the origins, historians have said that the origins is to Native American culture. And it's like in the wintertime, when harvest was bad, hunting was difficult, there'd be a lot of times where like brutal winter storms would hit and like villages would go whatever, like bad, like small tribes, and people would starve. And it was like a curse that if anyone resorted to cannibalism, eating like their deceased tribe members or whatever, it was like a curse. And it's like, but they say that this lore was just actually based off a real creature. And it's like you become this man-eater monster that's never satiated, and it's like deer. That's a Wendigo. A skinwalker is similar to that, except it's not like a human. It's just like this creature that it mimics the voices of the people it eats.
Have you heard of Skinwalker Ranch?
That's a location, right, on like Colorado or something.
But that's I don't know if they talk about skinwalker creatures on there, but they're like on that ranch there's like they've had cows and other farm animals that like the farmer, that whoever owns the ranch or whatever, they would come out one morning and they would have a cow dead on their mountainside and be like, they would go up to it and be like, oh, what did a coyote eat my cow or whatever? They would come up to it and the cow would have its heart missing, cut with like laser precision though, like somebody with a laser.
I've heard about this before. Yeah.
And then it's just
skinned.
And like it's just like what happened to that? Like, how do you explain that?
There's so much creepy shit, bro.
But okay, so this is something completely unrelated to skinwalkers, at least. But this is something else, some other crazy documented story that is very unexplainable. It's actually like the most credible story of reincarnation that's ever recorded. Mm-hmm. So I think it was in the 1800s that this little girl, there was this family living in a house, and this little girl was playing upstairs in her house, and she fell down the steps and fucking cracked her head on the step or something. She fell down the steps, cracked her head on it. She was passed out. Doctor came to the house, pronounced her dead on the scene, didn't have a heartbeat, done. Family was devastated. The kid was just pronounced dead on the scene. There's nothing you could do. That same day, about 12 hours later, the kid gets up and just starts. It's a little girl. The girl just starts playing around the house again like nothing happens. And the family is just dumbfounded. Like, what?
Why was her body still there?
Well, because they took the body and like started to prepare it for, like they knew it was pronounced dead. There was no pulse, and they were.
So where was the body though when it got?
I think they were transporting it into town, and then eventually, like during the transportation, she like got up or something out of nowhere, and she just got up and went back to her house and was like, "What was that all about?" And just started like playing and whatever. And the family was like, "That's a miracle. How's my kid alive?" And they didn't think everything of it as time went on. And then as time progressed, she got older. She started going to school. She got very interested in Egyptian culture. So like she started learning about like in social studies the Egyptian pyramids, and she was like, "Oh, I feel very familiar with this. Like this is very familiar with me. I know this." And then she would take field trips to the museum, and then she got to the Egyptian exhibit. What is it called? Exhibit. The Egyptian exhibit. And then she was like, she refused to leave. She stood there and was like, "This is my home. I will not leave." And come to find out that she eventually, as she became an adult, she claimed to have been this lady that used to live thousands of years ago in Egyptian times. So and so, I used to live here in Egypt. I used to live in this house. I used to do this. And everybody was like, "What are you talking about? Like, are you crazy? Like, this is bullshit." But she had this crazy, keen attraction to Egyptian culture after this event happened when she was a child. And then as she grew into it later in life, she went to Egypt and said, "You want me to show you who I am?" She went into the middle of the desert, into, I think it was 3 or 4 different archaeological locations that were not discovered, and said, "Dig right here. You'll find a tomb 25 feet below the sand right there."
Are you fucking serious?
And they dug right there, and they would find it. And she did that for 3 or 4 different sites that have never been discovered, nobody knew about ever. And she literally just walked up to them and said, "Yeah, I know that's there because I put that there 4,000 years ago. Dig right there." And they found it. How do you explain that? That is documented.
There's got to be something after.
Documented. And she lives there now. Like, I think I don't know if she's still alive, but she's like, ever since then, she like found the old place where she like dug up the ruins of where she used to live in Egypt, and lives in the same archaeological spot where she used to live.
That's fucking crazy.
And she claims to be the person that used to be them in Egypt.
That's fucking crazy.
And she was able to point out many locations that were completely undiscovered prior to that. How does that happen?
Oh my God. That's fucking crazy.
It's wild.
That's insane.
It's wild.
You got more of the... We're going to have you back on. We got to end it because the battery on this sucker's running low. It's battery powered. That's the only shitty thing about it. But your first of many appearances, bro. Tthank you so much for coming on.
Dude, it was a pleasure being on. This was great.
I hope you enjoyed it, bro. Thank you so much again. Dude, amazing episode. That was insane. You're such a natural storyteller. I really had a blast. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You know the outro by any chance?
No.
You snap and point up. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it to the end of the episode, please like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Until next one, I'll see you all next time. Deuces. Cue the outro music. There we go. Yeah. And thanks again, bro. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.